Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is episode 15 of Powered4.tv Big Fight Weekly, quicker than $100 million going into Floyd Mayweather's bank account, Chris.
Yeah, and then back out of it once he's been to the sweet shop, yeah?
How are you?
Good, man. I'm good. Yourself?
All good, all good. Looking forward to this. We are chock-a-block this week. We've got a lot to cover. We will get to your comments. Actually, we've got a comment right now. Brett Thomas, guys, I'm split. What to watch? I'm afraid is they have to build up Logan Paul versus Floyd on live. Now, well, Brett, watch the build-up. You know, you've been waiting for this one. So, you know, we appreciate it.
I'll watch them both at the same time.
Actually, yeah, that's yeah, you could
watch them both at the same time.
You could do that. Is going on now. I don't want to get people coming away from this, to be honest with you, but yeah, that is happening right now. They're on a little bit of a build-up, aren't they? But yes, I think first topic of the day is Devin Haney retaining his WBC lightweight title crown against one of the vets of boxing, Jorge Linares, a former free-weight world champion too. Chris, I tell you what, Haney looked like he was in control, and then he got wobbled in the 10th round. And then I'm thinking Linares is going to pile it on in the 11th round, but he managed to get past the scare. I thought he boxed very well. What did you think?
Yeah, mate, to be honest with you, I thought it was a brilliant fight. I thought Linares was in it all the way through. More towards the later ends when I think he thought he hurt Haney, didn't he? But I thought Haney was the head movement and the speed of the jabs, and I thought he was working in that uppercut all through the fight, and he landed it so many times. And how Linares, didn't, fall down after that. The amount of times he got hit by it. Yeah, it was really good fight. And I thought when you said that, but he got caught in round 10 just at the end, and he started wobbling towards his corner. And then Linares is like, go on, go back to your corner. Yeah, it was a really good fight. And if people haven't watched it, go watch the highlights. Just 15 minutes of really good fun.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant fight. I think, Linares, it's the years of doing it, but you got this young, prodigious talent in Devin Haney. And, he's looking, and at the backstage video I sent you as well, he was asking, what was he like? Obviously, Linares had fought Lomachenko, who was, the kingpin for many years. He wants to know, doesn't he? He wanted to know, did I make an impression on you? And I think he did, didn't he? And he got the victory. Also, the scorecards, to the judges, 116 to 112. 115 to 113. What do you reckon, Chris, with them scorecards?
I think Haney was quite far away when it comes to the strikes. You saw it's halfway through, and he's quite ahead when it comes to strikes. But I thought the fight was quite close in comparison. So I think they're quite fair in a way. I didn't think Haney ran away with the fight as much as he was up with all the strikes he was hitting Linares with. I think it was quite close because Linares did come back between 9 and 10, 11, 12, didn't he? And it really put it on him. So I'd say, yeah, it's quite a fair one.
I think at 22, Devin Haney, it's just incredible how good he actually is now. But then again, you got Teofimo Lopez. They want to get that one signed and sealed. He's got a fight yet, so he's got to get through that fight. He should do. And then that'll be unification. Then we're going to have a big unification dust-up. But I wouldn't throw Lomachenko out the mix, even though he lost. Even though he lost to Lopez, Chris, I think, it's quite good in the lightweight division. There's a lot of matchups that could still happen. Guys get into peak. But Devin Haney, as I say, 22 years old, just incredible. Just so good.
It looked like he'd been boxing for years, Stewie. It looked like he'd been boxing for years.
I think, the fact that they sent him over to Mexico because he couldn't fight legally in the USA, it just goes to show, doesn't it? He's been doing it young. He's been battle-tested yet. Fantastic victory for him. He will move on now to get a unification fight, hopefully down the line with Teofimo Lopez. Hi, Lewis, all the way from Falkirk up in Scotland. Good to have you on board as always, mate. Carnage Pain, Paul, any news on this Wilder Fury fiasco? We will get to that in a little while because we're going to be previewing Floyd Mayweather taking on Logan Paul. We know my views on this. Chris will be covering this tomorrow at 3 p.m. with one of the head honchos, John Scott. So we're just going to go over it a little bit, Chris, because I know you're going to be going a bit more length tomorrow at 3 p.m. So
we're just going to tickle you a bit today.
We'll graze the surface, if you will. So, Chris, we've obviously covered this for a few weeks now, and we've spoken about it. What are your thoughts leading into fight week now? The fight will be happening in 2 nights' time.
But do you know what, really, mate? If I'm completely honest with you, I'm obviously doing prep work for Friday, so I've been watching all things Logan Paul. I don't really need to go too much into Floyd because we all know what Floyd does. We all know what Floyd's about. But listening to Logan Paul, and sounds like a sound guy, down to earth. You know what I mean? He knows what he's up against. But the whole thing is he's got nothing to lose here, has he? There's nothing for him to lose here. It's a win-win situation for Logan Paul here. If he loses to Floyd, you've lost to the best. If he beats Floyd, and then the whole world's going to explode. But at the same time, he's making a ton of money for this fight. I just think it's a good favour for him because he doesn't have to do too much. You know what I mean? Go and win the fight if you can. I'd like him not to sit back. If he's going for the mentality of, right, I've got nothing to lose here, then go for it. Have a go at him. You know what I mean? As you say, I know Floyd's the GOAT and he's an icon and, one of the best counter strikers there is in boxing in the whole generation since we were kids. There's nothing for him to lose here. So go for it. If he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. But again, like I said, you're getting knocked out by the GOAT, aren't you?
He's 44, that man. I know it's, I just don't see it going any other way. What is Logan Paul projected to make? Because they've obviously said Mayweather gets $100 million. What is Logan Paul going to come out with, Chris? What's his purse?
I don't think it's going to be that far away from Floyd Mayweather.
We know my views on this shite collar, but yeah.
But the thing is, this is the lay of the land now. This is where we're heading to. I'd say MMA the same, but MMA have had freak show sort of fights with, as you would know when we've done wrestling, a load of wrestlers have come into Pride, So we've been through this in MMA. Logan Paul and Jake Paul are completely different, fishes, but they bring a lot of eyes. I think, without having to be a purist and look at it like I hate it, because I don't agree with it, but it's still bringing a lot of new eyes to boxing, isn't it? And maybe if you look at it that way, you would hope to keep these fans interested going forward.
John Scott's actually put a comment here, 15 million Logan Paul gets.
Yeah, but then that's still quite a lot.
Hello, Ramel, all the way from the Philippines, a weekly viewer. Thank you. Cheers, Ramel. We love your comments. We like your knowledge on combat sports. Absolutely. So, yeah, Chris, I didn't want to go into too much depth over this because you're going to be covering it for the special tomorrow ahead of the fight, Saturday, Sunday. So, yeah, I think we can move on because there's been another announcement involving the other Paul, Jake Paul, taking on the recently cut Tyron Woodley from the UFC in a boxing bout. So what are we thinking, Chris, on this one?
It's a hard one. I think Jake Paul's very clever for, again, going for a wrestler, though this type of wrestler isn't a Ben Askren type of wrestler. Woodley can strike. He's got powerful punches. My worry here is, I've got two worries, really. His jaw and, the way he got finished by Albert Luque before Luque really put the submission in when they fought. He was out on his feet, wasn't he? My second worry here is, I don't know if this actually goes on, but I'm sure it does. Would he take the money for him to just drop? You know what I mean? If Logan Paul hits him and just take the money, and that's my worry. Would he do that?
You see that comment from Rambo just then? He said, "How is it a thing, Woodley versus Jake Paul?" He said,
I think it stems back because of the whole Ben Askren thing, because they got into it, didn't they, after Ben Askren lost his fight against Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul's worried in a way, though, because I was reading more today that they put a rematch clause in this. So they must be a bit like, Woodley, because Woodley couldn't catch him. And I'd say this now, I'm sorry, Brett, but Woodley hits harder than Jake Paul.
Look when he was on a tear after coming through from Strikeforce. He was ruthless.
I don't think Woodley's going to beat him. I just think Woodley's got past his prime now as an athlete, and you saw it in his last 4 fights in the UFC. He wasn't the same Woodley. And yeah, I get the fight against Jake Paul because it's a shit ton of money, and when you're out of the UFC, out of MMA at this point in time, and this is like the most his money's ever made. Even when he was UFC champion, he didn't get paid this much money. But yeah, for him, maybe he can do it, and then he can make more money with the rematch. I'd like Jake Paul to get knocked up by Tyron Woodley. I think everybody across the world, apart from Brett, would love to see that. But I think Jake Paul's beaten Tyron Woodley. I just don't think Tyron Woodley's he's not the guy if you're picking an MMA fighter to fight Jake Paul.
I wonder what he's projecting. Going back to figures, as I did think about purses and stuff like that. Surely off the back of him and this, it'll probably eclipse some of his earnings in the UFC, if not all his earnings.
All his earnings. His agent, his manager was on his show yesterday.
This is crazy now. This is just getting crazy. You can just put anybody in there now, and he was a cage fighter for years, and now he's having to. I know it's money, but at the same time, like if you're saying it's risky and Jake Paul's, the favorite.
He is the favourite as well, by the way. Booking's favourite. The only thing I think Woodley's got in his hand here is that one mistake that Jake Paul's made here is having a fight at the end of August. Now, you're looking at Woodley's got, 9-10 weeks to get in camp? I know he's going to go and trade with Andre Ward as well, which is, very, very good.
Incredible. Andre Ward could have carried on.
I'll
tell you. But that's a story for another day.
But, it's my worry is Woodley's chin. He's a big guy, don't get me wrong. And the thing is now, if Jake Paul beats Woodley, he has to go and fight a pro box now. I know the money is in all these freak show fights, as they would say in Pride. But, he's need to fight a boxer. MMA guys, yes, very good with striking, but it's a different type of striking. And you know what I mean? You're wearing 10-ounce gloves and MMA wearing 4-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
So we will see that when it happens in August. Yet again, these fights have been put together, much to the chagrin of myself, because I just think it's an absolute waste of time. But money is money, as you say, Chris. At the end of the day, people are governed by the dollar, the almighty dollar, it seems to be, especially in the US of A. But moving on, it is the return of Daniel Dubois. He had a loss to Joe Joyce at the back end of last year. I was touting him to do big things in the heavyweight division. Didn't get up off his stool, was criticised by Carl Frampton, and then the same thing happened to Carl Frampton a couple of months ago where he didn't get up off the stool. But that's just one of them things. You hear these guys, don't you, saying this, that, and the other. But he will be taking on Bogdan from Romania, who's only lost 2 fights. He's now being trained by Shane McGuigan, and allegedly he's better than before. So, yeah, Chris, a bit on Daniel Dubois from yourself.
Ellis is a talented fighter, isn't he? And you were big on his heels, weren't you? But you have been before and after the Joe Joyce fight. Listen, fighters are going to lose at some point. It's as Rocky said in the movie, it's how you get back up, isn't it? Joe Joyce has been around for ages, hasn't he? He's fought some of the best, so it's not a knock for Dubois, is it? I think he's fighting this guy. You say now, probably a good. Welcome back to the boxing ring for him. A good little fight for him to get back to winning ways. He's a good fighter. And as you say, he's an up-and-comer, isn't he? So,
he's still young. Like, compared to the other guys, he's a lot younger than them. I thought he would have beaten Joe Joyce. I thought it would have been tough, but Joe Joyce was just used his, his veteran tactics and his amateur style. And, he started peppering him. He was landing with more frequency as the fight went on. And I was a bit gutted for Dubois, truth be told. I really was, but it's heavyweight boxing as well. The power, these guys carry. Everyone's an expert, aren't they? They've never set foot in a ring. So there we go. It's just I just hope he can get back. Because I really thought he was going to be getting into the title picture at world level. He's got Frank Warren behind him as well. Don't forget. So hopefully they can plot his course and get him back up to the heady heights of the division again, Chris. Anything to close out with there on this one, Chris?
Listen, he's got to go win against Bogdan, hasn't he? And to make it emphatic. And then he's back in the question then, isn't he? At the end of the day, this is what it's like in the combat sports. You can lose one but win another, and you're back in the conversation.
We look forward to that. I'll be watching that intently. Hello, Brett. This is the year of the Pauls. They are taking over. Jake Paul should be signed by WWE as a top heel. He can talk as well as anyone and is legit. New Brock deal on part-time basis. Yeah, okay. He didn't want Tommy Fury. Fury will have to earn it before he gets to his standard. well, that's your opinion. Snoop is putting 1 million on it for Jake. Give me the, I won't repeat that word, money. Haha. What do you think of Snoop Dogg taking on his own boxing promotion in 2022? Well, he's in them circles, and he's got money behind him. So yeah, just don't have him on commentary. Was that Aaron Carter fight real, by the way, Chris? Have you heard any more on that? Lamar Doom in there.
Yeah, it's a real fight. It's a real fight.
Right. Thank you for the comment there. Thank you for the comment there. Logan Paul 5-1. Right, okay.
It's not bad odds.
Logan should be 1-7 on, in my opinion. Not a chance in hell. I would have put him at bloody 250-1 against Floyd. I'll still say that now. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see.
You'll be kissing Brett's ass if Logan Paul wins this weekend, mate.
There's plenty of action across all disciplines of combat sports this weekend as well, which is great. And I think this might become a weekly occurrence now. Latest news on Tyson Fury versus Wilder. And yes, I will decapitate Fury, says Wilder. Chris, not a chance. Not in a month of Sundays. This fight shouldn't be happening. We've said about this for weeks now, haven't we? It's an absolute, it's shambolic that this is taking place.
I'm honest with you. I was watching something today on YouTube when I was prepping for today's show, and it just appeared on one of the channels, and he's still arguing the toss about Fury cheated in their last fight. I'm like, make your mind up what you're accusing him of here. Like, it's you got tired because of what your attire you wore to the ring in.
40 pounds, that like headdress thing he had on.
Then why wear it then?
You knew the weight of it. You must have tested it. It was just excuses after excuses. But I've got to be honest. In the first fight, I worried for Fury because I thought his power. I really, really did. I know he put him down, but then he just absolutely outboxed him and then took him down. I think it's the same thing again. He knows what can Wilder do differently. Throw
the punch. That's all he's got.
Fury's just become more and more. He knows what's coming. He knows what's coming.
I don't know if you get this, but I get this watching Wilder when he's now obviously talking about the actual fight because obviously that's what we're getting. I think Fury's so much in his head that Fury's already won this mental warfare game. I don't know he won it when they previously, first time they fought, but I just think he's so in Wilder's head.
How can you say you're going to decapitate him when you didn't do it the first two times? I'm remiss here where he's getting this from because he's been outclassed and he was outperformed in the second fight.
He was outperformed in both fights. Let's be completely honest.
He was, but more so, he showed him up, didn't he? You're a knockout artist allegedly, so I'll do you. And it has helped having Sugar Hill in this corner. Ramel conceals Wilder needs to attack to at least have a chance. Yeah, but he's tried that, Ramel. He's tried that, and he couldn't lay a glove on him in the second one, could he? Really?
No, but he caught him a few times. Brushed it off.
He worked out the movement a bit more. Fury's always had movement, but he just knew, didn't he? He'd seen it once. He's seen it twice now. I'm not buying into it at all.
I'm not even. I'm completely honest with you now, and I'll put it on the line here. I think Fury's walking away quite easily in this fight. I think he's got Wilder's number. He just really has got his number.
We will be covering this probably not every week, but there'll be stuff develops leading into July the 24th. It takes place at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the new Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. So hopefully it holds 72,000. So it should be pretty chocker. Stu, you should put something on the line.
I think that's for the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight.
No, I'm not putting anything like that. At Brett Thomas Rambo, this is now. If Logan Paul wins, Stu has to talk about Logan for full show next week. But if Floyd wins, you can't comment anymore. Logan Paul and Jake Paul. I couldn't do that to him. He likes all that. That needs to be fair. Cornish Payne, that's not a bad idea. Big Fight Weekly. Sorry, have to dedicate to Logan. Well,
they've got one tomorrow, pretty much, haven't they, you guys?
I will leave the camera off. Probably that. I've got a face for radio anyway, so that'll be all right. At Rambo, at Powered 4 TV, I'll take that bet. I'm confident of Logan winning. Hey, Brett, you love them guys, and that's your that's your stance with them. That's fine. That's fine. Freedom of choice, freedom of speech. How about that?
If I'm honest with you, though, I'm quite wanting the upset.
Tyler, it's a good pal, Isaac. He's watching on YouTube, loving the show, boys. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Is all watching us, or is she watching bedtime stories on CBeebies? That's what I want to know. There we go. But yeah, moving on. Latest news for Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. So yes, the deadline has elapsed, which was May the 31st, where it's meant to be signed. Nothing's been official yet, Chris, on this one.
I haven't heard much about this, to be honest with you. It's all been Wilder and Fury, hasn't it, really? If I'm completely honest with you. I've heard bugger all. I know that obviously Joshua's in training camp still, but they've not really announced anything, have they?
They said they can look for other people. This is Eddie Hearn saying, if needs be, just to get him ready, for Fury, so he's active. But this is a good fight, and it's a huge test for Usyk more so than it is Joshua. And Dylan White said himself, he said the Usyk was terrible against Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora. Dylan White's chimed in.
You got to feel sorry for Dylan White here, to be honest with you. Well, since all this has been, obviously changed and swapped around.
Certainly, in terms of Tyson Fury and and Wilder being WBC, and that poor guy, he's beaten Povetkin and he still hasn't had his title shot. He avenged Povetkin as well, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Where do you think this fight's going to be when it is announced? Where do you think this is going to be? Where's it going to land?
They'll do it. I mean, they're not going to do it in Saudi, are they? I could see it. It's got to be somewhere. It'll probably be here because they're both European. I would say they do it here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was here in some capacity.
Well, it'd be nice if they get it in the UK, really, wouldn't it?
That's it. It would be good. Yeah, I think to be honest, Chris, I just can't see Usyk beating him. But Cruz, he was amazing at cruiserweight. I'm not disputing it. It's just putting the weight on. And I know guys have come up from cruiser and been quite successful at heavyweight, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling to see him beating Joshua.
Well, you've got two of the best, haven't you? So anyone that comes into this division at the moment, you're at a hard point, aren't you? Because you've still got two of the best heavyweight boxers in that division at the time.
I think now would be the perfect time to go to break. When we come back, we'll be previewing this weekend's UFC Fight Night. There's some good fights. There's a couple of domestic guys on the card as well, isn't there, Chris, on the undercard for us, which we will talk about when you get past this. Fantastic content, as you saw there, across powered4.tv. Fantastic. Brett Thomas, I think Chris is a believer. Are you a believer, Chris?
I'm not a believer, no. But listen, let's be honest. I'm interested, I'm intrigued, you know what? And knowing more stuff about Floyd prepping for tomorrow's show and all the stuff he's done outside of boxing, which is, quite disgusting. I kind of sway towards Logan Paul now, just because of the things he's done to women. You know what I mean? Just in general, it sort of sways me now, yeah. But I know the whole Floyd and how good Floyd is, so I'm not stupid. But I'd love to see the shock because I'd just love to see the world explode.
He ain't losing. Floyd got to win. Yeah, Lewis, I'm with you. Not a chance in hell. Fought some of the best in this division, come on. Rachel Cornell. Hello, Rachel. Wow,
Hi, Rachel.
This is Logan Paul week, isn't it? Yeah, well, I had to do a little bit today, but I'm not involved tomorrow. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. Ramel Ponseals Usyk has all the skills, yet still lacks in size. Yeah, he does. He's coming up against guys that like naturally like huge. They're not like 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". These guys, you're going like upwards. You're going upwards of 6'5", and they've got the weight behind them. It's crazy. They're massive. These heavyweights. Carnage Payne. Where's the AJ fight going to be? This is what we were saying prior to going to the break there, but we don't know at the moment. But the deadline's passed and there's still nothing. But I'm sure they'll get it. They'll get it signed off. I think that's the one. It's the one both parties want, isn't it? But yeah, I think now is the perfect time to get into UFC Fight Night. We're going to preview it. We have got Josino Rosenstrike taking on Augusto Sakai. Chris, both guys are coming off losses in their previous two.
Are you pinching off my notes here, lad?
No, I've not seen your notes. I've not seen you.
That's the first thing I've got written on mine.
Right. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say, but one of the guys that Rosenstrike lost to, Cyril Gane, was one of your ones to watch in his previous fight. So, and Overeem beat Sakai, didn't he, Chris?
And don't forget Rosenstrike beat Overeem.
Right. So does that mean he will beat Sakai?
I don't know, because it's a tale of tape here. Watching Rosenstrike recently, I feel like he's not the same guy as he since Ngannou knocked him into the next world, and he likes to circle that cage. And you saw it against Cyril Gane that he was getting pushed up against the cage, and you see Sarki likes to push people up against the cage and rough them up. He did against Overeem before Overeem took him down. It's a hard one, and they both need the fight because they both need to get, Rosenstrike definitely needs to get back in the winning column. It's hard for me because I don't know which way to go with it, because Rosenstrike can knock people out like that, and Sarki can, he bullies people and he hits hard, and really good on the ground. If he gets you on and he's on top of you and he's in mount, he can punch a hole in your head. It's just, my issue is firstly I'll say this is not a main. This shouldn't be a main event fight, really. This should be like on a main card.
Why? Personally. Why is it?
I just because obviously there's not many fights. Well, there hasn't been many heavyweight fights since we had the Spurgeon March, didn't we? When we had loads of heavyweight fights.
Trying to balance, aren't they?
Don't forget the co-main's a heavyweight fight as well with Walt Harris. It's hard. I think with Rosenstrike in this, and I think what he lacked again in Cyril Gane's fight, is he didn't take a risk. He backed away and he pot shot here, pot shot there, didn't he? But obviously Cyril Gane, I just think he's the next level over Rosenstrike. I just think he needs to take a risk in this fight, and if he doesn't, then it's going to be the same case where he's going to circle a cage. Just think of like JDS. JDS was bad for circling the cage and got caught multiple times. I just think he needs to take a risk. If he takes a risk, I think he could win this fight. But implications that they both need it, because obviously now John Jones, I don't know if you've heard, is taking a year out now.
Why?
He wants to get better to face Ngannou. So he wants to go away and.
I'm thinking maybe as he looked at Adesanya when he went up.
Well,
is that what he's thinking? Maybe he's like, I really do need to concentrate from going up a weight. I don't know. That's my first thought.
Yeah, I think also for John Jones, I think he saw what he did to Miocic, didn't he? I think, and that changed the whole complex. And I think if you've seen pictures of John Jones, he does look like he's put a lot of muscle mass on. He does look quite big. His legs look skinny, mind you, still.
Yeah.
But this is a good thing for these guys now, is that John Jones isn't a factor. So when Ngannou faces Derek Lewis, it opens up again now. You've got fresh people coming in.
Yeah, it's good. The heavyweight division is very good. I tell you what, Sakai was stopped by Overeem, wasn't he, with elbows and punches. So I'm veering towards Rosenstrike for the win. I think he will pile it on. He won't be as guarded. I'm going
tentative.
I'm going with a Rosenstrike victory, Chris, in this one. I think he'll get back in the win column.
I don't hope so, because if you look at it, they've got two fighters I've put down here, because I know you'll say, where do you want them to go next? So I've got Curtis Blades and I've got Stipe Miocic, because I'm not sure if Stipe Miocic is going to get immediately. I think he's warranted it, but he might want to get another fight under his belt because he's obviously going to put more muscle mass on himself now. You've got Curtis Blades. I know he's coming off a loss, but I think UFC could look at these two and think, well, Curtis Blades and Miocic can make a name off them now, to get themselves back in the winning column. So there's a lot to fight for in the heavyweight division.
Absolutely. Permutations are plenty in the heavyweight division. We look forward to that main event. Also, we've got 2 UK fighters. Sorry, we've got a comment here. Cornish Payne, due to make surprise entries on the preview show. I'd have to be in 2 places at once for that to happen. Mark Lloyd, Stu's banned from the preview show, like Jake is banned from the fight. I'm getting it tonight, aren't I, from the Powered 4 TV Ultras.
You are. You need to get on their level playing field.
You're hammering me tonight, you lot. Thank you very much, but I probably deserve it when I've slated the polls all this time. Cornish Payne, 1 point and I'm out. Hey, no, it's fine, keep coming. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. It's like a virgin sleeping with a porn star. It shouldn't happen. End off. Peace. Right, okay. Yeah.
That's a different analogy, I'd say. If I'm honest.
We have got a big fight at middleweight also on the same fight night card, and it is the UK's. It's Tom Breeze. Tom Breeze, Chris. I've got it. I'm like, it's Tom Breeze. Get it.
It is Tom Breeze, yes.
My head's going here. This is Oriu, who was in the Contender Series a while back as well. Mm-hmm. So yes, and he has lost his last 2 fights. Tom Breeze is 5-3 in the UFC. Where do you see this one going? Is our UK fighter going to come out on top?
I personally, in my mind, I'm looking at the rankings today. Did you know that Oriu's ranked 57th? That's quite far down. His last 2 fights, he has not looked good, has he? To be honest with you, as Antonio.
Hold on a minute. I didn't know they did rankings that far.
Yeah, you have to go off the UFC rank off their page and go actually look at an actual rankings. Yeah.
Where's Breeze?
Where did I find him? I think he was like 45.
Oh, right, okay. I thought it was going to be like a gargantuan gap.
Well, it is in a way. But yeah, I've seen Oriu's fights in his last 2. They were dog awful. I have Breeze winning this, but obviously Breeze just lose his lack of concentration sometimes, especially when he's on the ground, and he's actually not that bad on the ground. I think I put in my notes that Breeze has got it. He just needs to piece it together. He's 1-2 at the moment, isn't he? He was off for quite a long time. He did have a lengthy layoff, did Tom Breeze, with injuries. It seems like a lot of fighters, seem to have quite bad injuries and disappear for a while. He's got all the skills to Tom Breeze, and I really like Tom Breeze. He's a big dude. He's quite a big dude as well. I'm not saying big as tall, but he's stocky.
Yeah, he's filled.
Antonio is quite a big guy, but that's all he's got. But I think this is Tom Breeze's fight to win. I think if he loses this, I think actually either of these lose this fight, I think they get cut personally. Which
hopefully, Tom Breeze can get to 6-3, and it's not looking a bad record then, is it?
I hope
fingers crossed. But it's good to have the UK fighters in. We've had quite a lot in the more recent months, haven't we, fighting, Chris?
Well, you know what? It's nice to see, and it's nice that they're getting over to the US to actually have fights. Because we only had Abu Dhabi for that, at the beginning of the year, didn't we? For quite a while, Fight Island and everything. So yeah, it's nice to see, but it's nice to see, we're getting a good couple of Welsh fighters in now as well.
Absolutely, which is what I'll move on to now. He is obviously a Welsh fighter, but UK, we always do it collectively, don't we, Chris? I think they should be classed UK. It should just be as a whole. I've always thought this, but they split us up, don't they? Against Alan Patrick, who is 5-3. And this will be Mason Jones' second fight, the Welshman Mason Jones. He lost his last fight, Chris.
Tight decision against Mike Davis, yeah.
Is Alan Patrick favourite?
No.
Right,
okay. Alan Patrick, as much as I think he's like 15-3 in the UFC, it feels like to me that Alan Patrick's been around for a very, very long time. He was good a few years ago. He had an injury, disappeared for a while, came back. He won a fight, then he lost his last 2. He got knocked out as well in the last 2. He's a decent grappler. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. But I think Mason Jones is highly touted in the UFC, and I think that's why they brought him up from Cage Warriors.
I was going to say about Cage Warriors.
And he's very, very good in Cage Warriors. Listen, Mason Jones is also a black belt as well, and I think he can hang. I think he can hang on the floor with Alan Patrick quite easily. I think he's just much hungrier. I think he's got better cardio. I think Alan Patrick's just there for Mason Jones, and I hope now when I say this is to run through and then get himself back, further up the ladder. Because if he wins this, and I'm looking at the rankings because they are quite low down where these guys are. Michael Johnson's ranked in the 40th, which is quite shocking, really, because Michael Johnson's been around for quite a while.
I love these in-depth rankings, Chris, because all we ever see in the UFC is if they're not in the top 15.
Yeah, you don't see them.
You don't see it. I never think about it. I say, all right, okay. But
I'll show you the website after the show.
It's good to have in-depth rankings there. The wife keeps saying, "Stop smelling your hands." I do daft stuff when I'm listening.
So I got itching my nose today. So.
I keep doing it. I apologise. My wife's picked up on it. I'm sure some of the viewers have picked up on it.
You're not like that, though, are you? You're not going right up there, are you?
Sorry, Chris. I jumped in then. You were in mid-flow.
No, I'll show you the website I look at. And it's great because it gives you I think it's to 60. And then it gives you all the inactive fighters. And you know what? There's a load of fighters I realised today in the divisions that we're obviously having a conversation about with the fighters. There's a load of fighters in there I didn't realise that weren't even in the rankings. Obviously, Nate Diaz isn't in the rankings, but everyone knows that. But there's a few Brits I didn't realise that weren't in the rankings. So I'll show you after. This is quite good knowledge because then you can see who's where. But yeah, Michael Johnson's quite far down, which was quite shocking. Yeah. But he's in between Mike Davis, Michael Johnson and Luis Pena. I don't think he'll fight Mike Davis again, but Michael Johnson and Luis Pena, be good fights for him if he could win this. I think he probably will win this. I put it down to a TKO in the second round for myself.
The best of luck to Tom Breeze and Mason Jones, two UK fighters. We look forward to battling it out on Sunday morning here in the UK, Saturday evening in the US. Yeah, all the best, lads. All the best. For you. Look forward to seeing what happens. Absolutely. And finally, Chris, the Ultimate Fighter returns.
Yes, it did. I watched it last night.
It is the behemoth Volkanovski and Brian Ortega as coaches. And how was the first episode, Chris? I've not managed to watch it yet.
Well, first and foremost, I'm not sure if the guys on our viewers watch Ultimate Fighter or if they ever have. But the last time it aired was in 2018, which I thought was a bit earlier than, not as late as that, really. They've moved now complex, so it's in the Apex. So they're using the whole Apex as obviously where they fight, and then they've obviously got the UFC gym, which is in obviously the same building, which is, I think it's nice, it's different. The thing is, it's the same old format. And I had my worries when we had Dave Faulkner on when we spoke about this when it actually got announced that obviously Volkanovski and Ortega were going to be the coaches. And I think they'd be good coaches, really good coaches, but just personality-wise and for reality sort of TV show, you need a bit of drama. Okay, it does show you what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, and that it looked okay. It's just for me, it was like, we're falling back into this boring sort of coaches. I need Rampage and Roshan Devin sort of thing, Michael Bisping, Jason Miller. And I need something like that because as much as the coaches are there to coach, we need a bit of entertainment. We need a bit of drama.
How many guys came out of it? I know it's been a long time since it's last been on, but remember years ago how many guys got in, did really well and then ended up doing amazing in UFC. I think like the last few seasons that I had seen, I was thinking how many of these guys actually made it off the back of the show. I know times have changed and stuff. And it's been a long time.
You're looking at it, mate. Bisping's been champion. Usman's been champion. Rashad Evans has been champion. Forrest Griffin's become champion.
They cultivated people. They got people got to the title through it. And I think more recent years, I mean, you've watched it more intently than me over the years. But I think
from the very beginning.
Has there been anyone in the more recent ones that's done okay, done all right off the back of it?
Not particularly. Not particularly, no. I can't say off the top of my head anyone that jumps out. A lot of the last ones have been the ladies side of things as well, which obviously need because we need the ladies division bulked up because there isn't enough. You know what I mean? And I think those divisions for the ladies, they've been fantastic the last couple of fights we've seen with them in as well. So
what about doing one where guys return, who had careers and then
right,
like they did years ago. We had
season
Matt
4.
Matt Serra, Shoney Cooper, guys that had done it, had gone off the beaten track a little bit and then got back in. You know, why don't they try something like that?
They have. They did it about. I think there was I can't tell you the year, but I think it was like season. Well, we are 29 now, so I think it was like season 26, 27. They did bring back people. It didn't work out quite well in that either, really. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm worried because the show was on quite a steep decline the last couple of years when it was originally airing. Sorry, I just think coaches make. You've got to put two coaches are good at talking, they're good at each other sort of shit per se. You know what I mean? People that can drive. Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw, they were good together because they hate each other.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And it was legitimate as well. It's not as if it's been put on. You can tell.
Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber. That was really good.
He had more conflict with Garbrandt. Uriah Faber and him actually got on really well, didn't they? To be fair.
Yes. I'll tell you what I did like what they've done now with this. So Andre Petroski and Aaron Phillips were the first two fighters at middleweight that fought on the show last night. But before they come to the octagon, they went and did a backstory. So you had like about a 5-minute backstory on them. So that showed like the fights in in other organizations, but it was showing their home life as well, which I thought was quite good. You can sort of invest yourself in one of the fighters that way. Do you know what I mean? If you actually truly know who they are. So that was a nice, spin of things and new for Ultimate Fighter. The fight itself, I thought was tentative as hell. They both didn't seem to want to engage with each other at all until Petroski, who I don't want to say too much really because you need to watch it, but he's on Ortega's team. So Aaron Phillips was on Volkanovski's team. Both a pair of wrestlers, basically. So they were very tense. They didn't engage, and when they engaged, Petroski took Aaron Phillips down and then beat him by submission. Over by the first round, really. Wasn't entertaining, but it was nice to see it back. I'll say that.
It came, the format started in 2005, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I just wonder, I don't know, would you reckon they'll carry on with it?
Yeah, I think Dana White came out and said not long ago when he said about UFC Ultimate Fight returning, they owe a lot to Ultimate Fighter because, it single-handedly saved UFC. Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner. It's just hard because he's got that Dana White Contender Series and so many good fighters are coming out of that as well now. It's just a shame for me. Is I like to see like UK versus USA, UK versus Europe, Europe versus USA, Canada versus USA. I loved all those because you're getting to know, different people and they clash. These people at the moment, okay, they're all a bit like the usual. And the best, he's not as good as me. All that sort of malarkey.
Even when they did American Top Team versus the Brazilians as well.
Usman won that. Yeah,
you could
the hatred.
Two gyms. That was because they hadn't done it before. You're looking. It's hard to freshen something up that's been going for 29 seasons at the same time. It's very hard. Hopefully they can. I'm not saying it'd be the end for it, but hopefully they can maybe re-engage some of the old audience that used to get for it.
It's like I said to you, it is about the fighters, don't get me wrong, right? Because there's been some hell of a good knockouts, some really good fights over the years, and really good fighters have come out of Ultimate Fighter. It's the coaches. We need people that hate each other, that are going to bring the drama, that you drive to watch. That's the only thing I can say that I'd like to see going forward.
I'll make a conscious effort to watch it every week because I'm sure we will cover it every week going forward. Also, just Rich, is there any more comments? There we go. Brett Thomas, is Mauro Ranallo on play-by-play?
Yes, it is. It's showtime.
There we go. There's your answer there, Brett. Cornish Payne, I can't make it live tomorrow. You can watch it after. It'll be up. It'll be up after as well. But I will watch it when I'm back. Is it John and Chris? Yeah, John and Chris are doing the special tomorrow. Mayweather versus Paul. Rampage and Rashad. Yeah, the double getting busted. Yeah, hatred. Rachel Cornell. Yeah, John and Chris. SP3 said he might come on. Oh, you might have SP3 as well, Chris.
That's fine.
So yeah. And the Griffin Rampage cast was awesome.
Yeah, again.
Going back to Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, so there we go. There's all the comments. Thank you very much to everyone for viewing today. Chris, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram at VanHume86. They can find me on Twitter at VanHume. They can find me tomorrow at 3 p.m. live, breaking down Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul with John Scott, which I'm sure will be an absolute treat for you all, especially you, Brett. And you can find me on Powered 4 Big Fight Weekly page on Facebook.
Double duty for Chris this week. Fantastic. You can find me at Stu's Wrestling Podcast across all social media. There will be a new episode of the Wrestling Podcast next week. It will be with a former WCW star too. So, yes, that will be dropping. So, yeah, that's where you go. Also, WrestleMerchCentral.com, Stu's Wrestling Podcast merch on there before I forget. And I think that's us, mate. Episode 15 of Powered4.tv, Big Fight Weekly, Chris.
15 weeks, mate.
I know.
That's gone zoom by.
We're hitting heady heights on the numbers now, and we will see you all next week.
See you next week.